How are we there, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. I'm your host, Josh, once again joined by Benno. How are you, buddy?
I'm not too bad, mate. First day back at work, and I already don't want to go back.
Oh, bugger. You should have thought about that before you got out of bed, got in the car, and then fucked off to work, eh?
Oh, I knew about it. I knew I'd spend the first 3.5 hours of my day today cleaning up all the fucking mess of the lazy people that were there in the week that I wasn't.
Absolutely. Before we get started, can everybody hear me? I know there was a bit of drama last week with the microphone turned too low, etc. Let us know if you can hear us. That'd be great. Muchly appreciated.
I can hear you.
Absolutely. Before we get started, big shout out to Gabriel Marr, optometrist at Jesmond, our major sponsor. Please go and see those guys if you are in the Newcastle Hunter area in New South Wales for all your eye care needs, whether it be sunglasses, prescription glasses, or simple eye test. If you aren't in the area, jump on their Facebook page, just give them some love. It would be muchly appreciated. So,
First comment.
first comment.
We haven't even introduced him yet in the first comment.
Love it. Love it. It's started already. I knew this was going to be either a good idea or a really bad one. Not for me, but for him.
Yeah. His workload's just tripled.
So, as they're flooding in as we speak, we are lucky enough tonight to be joined by Sparring DK. For those who don't know him, he is a FIFA creator over there on YouTube, with only about 35,000 subscribers or so. So, just ticking over as a standard FIFA content creator. But you also are, this was as of 2 weeks ago, according to Ben, a FIFA creator. What's the new technology? What are you calling yourselves now?
It's the EA Creator Network.
The EA. That sounds so much more professional.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you feel wanted compared to EA Creator?
Well, to be fair, I'm actually part of the EA Design Council, so I'm probably the next level up from the EA Creator Network. But
take that.
Continue.
Take that Creator Network.
That's much nicer than Game Changer.
Yeah. Hey, mate, it's a pleasure. Thanks for jumping on, mate. It's muchly appreciated. And
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
We figured we'd change things up. International break and not much going on in the A League and so forth, and the Premier League and stuff. So we'd talk a bit of FIFA, talk a bit of what's been happening in this season, FIFA 22, and if you guys have any comments, Ben, I'm sure, is going to have fun reading them out to him. I'm sure DK can see him himself. If you haven't checked him out, go and check him out. We will put some stuff up in the throughout the night and stuff like that to go check him out and everything else. Give him some love, so go subscribe and check out his content. But we may as well start, mate. FIFA 22. It's another year. It's another year where people get excited and crack the shits and what's going to change, what's not going to change, and what for you, mate. What are some of the biggest changes in FIFA 22?
Well, obviously, I'm career mode expert, if we want to say that. Don't really deal with the online side of things or the new Volta that we've seen over the last couple of titles. So very much career mode orientated. I guess if you look at FIFA 22 as a whole, a lot of their decisions this year were to sort of give more of the love towards the my player side of things, which is something else that I don't really entertain that often. But good to see that that part of career mode got a little bit of love. We've obviously seen the new creator club scenario added to the game this year, which in its infancy, I think it's a really strong platform for EA and the career mode side of things to invest in. It looks like they're just sort of testing the waters and seeing the initial interest. I would have liked to see a little bit more done in regards to the customization and the aspects that we could have added to it. Yep. But obviously, there we go. There's your word of the day.
There it is. There it is. I try so hard now.
Had to throw it in.
I didn't even notice.
I was waiting for it as soon as he said it.
So obviously I've looked at these streams a lot. So the Creator Club side of things, I guess we could, explain that it's an infancy start of things, but if you look at the whole overall project, you're dealing with things like COVID, everyone working remotely.
Yep.
You've got teams that actually work on career mode, not in one specific city in the world. We've got teams based in Romania, we've got teams based in Vancouver, all trying to work together. So, and then also the life cycle that you see from career mode, where we've just launched 1st of October was the main launch. So you've got to look at the career mode team now over probably the next 3 months, just concentrating on bugs, fixes, errors, things that have come up within the code. And then by January, they're already looking towards the next title and putting those ideas together by March. They've got like a 12-week window to decide what they want to put in for the next title, and obviously trying to test and get those things up and running and pushing towards the next release. So the turnaround time is actually quite limited in regards to what they want to try and add in. So you always need to look from the outer side. Like, we're not just I'm not EA Sports, of course, but when you look at it and you try and compare it to other games, you can kind of see why the additions are quite small and concentrated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if you were to place it up against any of the online shooters that you play, well, they're an online service, so you can always go in and create new bits and pieces for all those things. But when you look at, say, a game like Assassin's Creed, which might take 3-4 years of development, and then you get a solid game, but then that's it for that game. They move on to the next title. When you've got an ongoing yearly sequence, it's obviously got to be broken up into getting it live, maintaining it, fixes, and then already working on the next scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, I've done it again. So you got me excited. Ben being a FIFA creator himself as well. I'm going to let you somewhat take the lead here, Ben. You know more about it than I do. I'm just the one who likes to pay the money, crack the shits, and throw controllers in my own private time.
We're all there.
You like to do it for fun, live, and exciting, and get people
I
really hyped up.
I do it in my own spare time as well.
So
I've been doing the thing that I said that I'd never do, and I've been smashing a bit of foot the past 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, I'm very particular when I play foot. I won't play against... I don't play real people. I only play squad battles.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things that I pick up for 3-4 weeks at the start of every FIFA cycle, just to see if there's what sort of changes. Because let's be honest, the 85% of their hard work and effort does go into Ultimate Team and refreshing that and doing what they do with that. So I give it a test run for about a month every cycle, just to see, what's good, what's bad, sort of thing, and then look 12 months down the track and go, right, what good parts of this could be implemented into career mode, and how easy could that be done?
Yeah. Guilty. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I've spent the last 3 or so weeks freaking playing foot as well. They haven't even looked at career mode. Haven't even touched it. Actually,
I might have to leave, boys.
I have started a couple of career modes. I've got a couple running. So I've got Swindon, obviously, which is the online RTG that I do every year. I've started to do a YSL style, in the style very much the same as DK, the U Squad Legends sort of thing with Birmingham. I've dropped them into League 2 and shipped everybody out. I also started to create a club career mode because I wanted to test that sort of feature, and there's a bug in that I've noticed that I haven't told DK about yet. So what I've done is I've taken the only A-League side that doesn't have a men's team and gave them a men's team.
Okay.
So we've started a creator club offline again with Canberra United.
Yeah.
I've made them, and I've dropped off Wellington Phoenix.
Okay.
Tomo's done a similar thing. He's dropped off Wellington Phoenix and brought in Marconi Stallions of all sides.
Yeah. Look out.
So a bit of love for the NPL there.
Yeah. If anyone in the chat's obviously found some bugs or anything like that, whack them in the chat. I'm sure DK's got a pen and paper.
Yep.
If he has,
he does.
if he hasn't heard it already. What are you doing at the moment, mate? What's your FIFA 22 scenario? What are you playing? DK?
He's muted.
He's just muted away, just talking to himself. Love it. It's just he's in his own little bubble. Love it.
You're muted.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows.
He knows. He knows. He knows. Anyway, well, while he's muted and he's just jotting down all these situations and everything and what's happening and what's going on in the chat, he's doing a youth edition.
I think he started the obviously count.
Oh, very good.
He's got the pen and paper tally running.
Hope so. I hope so.
Either that or he's on the phone.
Youth edition. Youth edition is what he's up to these days. Youth Academy, I should say. It's a Youth Academy.
Yeah, YSL.
YSL, yeah. Youth Academy.
In the community, it's known as a YSL, which is called Youth Squad Legends. So basically, the entire premise of that is to take a team, sell off all the real players, and only populate the team using players that you bring up yourself through the Youth Academy.
Mm-hmm. Hello. There he is.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you. I don't know what just happened then, but you get that. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
He was just tallying up the obviouslies.
Yeah.
The obviously tally.
So I was just saying, mate, what are you doing? What are you doing on FIFA 22 this year?
So yeah, we started the channel 2015, I think.
Yep.
Doing the Youth Edition series, which is molded in the likes of Cutsy's Youth Squad Legends, as it's called, the Youth Edition. So this year we're doing Hartlepool United. We're currently struggling like madness. Like if you really want to see some rage, just go and watch the first few episodes of this year's series.
It's not very often you see DK lose 9-1.
Yeah, it's been a bit rough.
The rage was real.
It was good. It was good.
The
fun.
rage it's definitely real. I kind of feel this year that the gameplay's a lot more stat reliant. That's how it's kind of feeling at the moment. Whether I always have that undermining feeling that it's definitely gameplay balanced towards Ultimate Team and esports, and therefore with them driving you to get the better cards that you can. Obviously, you're playing with those players with really good stats, and to create that difference and really make you reach for that high end player, it feels like they're heavily reliant on the stats, which. When you're playing with a youth squad where, you've got a 38 rated centre back who can't catch a cold or just seems to be standing on the freeway trying to get a lift, it can get quite frustrating. So definitely seen that. It doesn't deter me in any way. I'm still playing on the hardest difficulty, and it's just grim and bear it because you know that there is, a greener pasture on the other side once you eventually get your squad up and about. But if you're just playing the way I play, where we can only use Youth Academy players, it's a free agent regens as well, as long as they've got one of those regenerated faces. So
yeah,
the first season is always quite a struggle, but definitely finding this year is a lot more of a beatdown from the CPU. And other than that, we've done a couple of Indian rebuilds. The new Indian Super League is in FIFA 22 this year, so thought I'd take a look at that, and had some pretty good responses. So that's just traveling along, and got some other series possibly up my sleeve, depending on time and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a few of the Indian guys in the house tonight. Popped in to say good day and obviously get their thoughts. Hopefully we'll plug your channel more than I say, obviously. That's the plan tonight, DK.
What was that thing? Chase the ice!
So, let's talk some features, in the game. It's evolved so much, since the early days to what it is now and stuff like that. They didn't do mainly tweaks and stuff like that in the last couple of years. They added Volta and things like that, but you guys would probably use it more than most because you guys like to play your career modes and that. But the quick sim, I believe that got tweaked. Is that right?
The quick sim was added last year.
Last year.
Yeah, and then the live sim and that kind of thing. So I guess it's slowly been evolving, things that we might have seen in previous titles coming back after enough sort of request from the community. Things do get dropped and pulled away from the game over time because the general consensus is that the majority of people don't use these things.
Yeah.
But enough backlash and things start sort of do make it through the forums and that back to the producers. I mean, that's probably the best thing that I've seen since being involved in the original Game Changer program and the likes is the community team, the likes of Corey, who was there before, and Zaro, who's leading it up now. Sheldon's just come on board, and leaps and bounds to try and get a better connection between the game and the average player that's just out there, paying their money every year to have a go. Obviously, they deal with a lot of backlash, opening up those avenues, but I think it is still a good incentive to have there, and some of those curtains are starting to be pulled down. We've seen with the pitch notes over the last couple of years, where they've given us a bit more information. Obviously, I see a lot more in the back end side of things. I do get some privileged information, which we aren't allowed to share until certain timeframes make those things available to us.
Yeah.
But just even giving you guys the pitch notes to read through and explaining why they're doing certain things, I think is a very good from that kind of organization, which has had a lot of backlash over the years.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of moving in the right
It's the
direction.
transparency of it.
Yeah, definitely the transparency. Yeah. So that's really good to see. Change-wise, I mean, it's continual, and I guess the hardest part for that, in regards to getting more changes and more things, especially on an offline career mode level, is that you're just constantly building on top of existing code. It's not like they're rewriting it every year. So it just, once you put that all into context, you have to think of who's working on the game and are they familiar with the section that they're working on. And that's purely, I reckon, how a lot of the bugs do come into the game, is that you're constantly writing over existing code, which could change something that you haven't had time to test and things like that.
Yeah, I think that one of the big things, I love career mode. Ben loves career mode. We all love the basic career mode. It's something that everyone's been playing since sort of day dot.
Dawn of time.
But before
it's older than the dawn of time.
Before all the special features of your vaulters and your foots and story modes and stuff like that. It hasn't had a great deal of love. I know Ben and I talk about it nearly every year that it doesn't get a lot of hype. We know the money's in foot, and that's where they want to be pumping a lot of their ideas and new features and stuff like that. But what's some of the things? I'll ask this to both of you guys. What are some of the things you guys would like to see change in FIFA career mode? Ben, I'll ask you first. I'll ask you first.
Well, of course, you asked me first.
Yeah. Give the guest time to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's the host that needs time to think about it. To be fair, look, if anything, there are good things that have come out. I look at this purely on the perspective of looking at it between 21 and 22 is what we are in now. I say that only because it's fresh in the brain, but there are tweaks behind the scenes going on from 21 to 22 that your average player wouldn't notice. Like, the AI in 22 this year is not stupid like it's been. They really think they think more like a real player would now. They don't just half-ass it, run down the guts, and if they don't make it through, tough titties.
Yeah.
That they are attack and defense-wise, they are a hell of a lot more intelligent than what they've been in previous titles before. To the point where it actually forces me as a seasoned player to change my style of play.
Definitely.
Around that.
Yep. Yeah, totally. DK?
It's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely, and that's more on the gameplay side of things. So when you look at gameplay, the biggest emphasis for them is that they're trying to achieve a balance that works across all game modes except for Volta, of course. So whether you're playing Ultimate Team Online, Ultimate Team Squad Battles, whether you're playing Pro Clubs, My Player Career Mode, Normal Career Mode, they want the gameplay experience to feel the same. The issue with that is that there's so many little fine-tuned systems that are working in the back end that you need to navigate them. So, like if we look at the gameplay for Ultimate Team, you've got things like chemistry that affects your players, which obviously gives you boosts and stats. So they need to be able to tune it to that, which is why we saw the sharpness. And that added to career mode last year. Now, for me, that's not quite as balanced, but you can see why it needs to be in there so that the gameplay can sort of have the same feel, so that you are able to bounce between the different modes if that's the kind of player that you are, so that you get the same experience. Although then we say that when you go to kickoff mode and you don't have the sharpness, you play with the exact same team and it can feel completely different. So, I mean, I would like to see the gameplay on that sense possibly changed and have two variations, an online and an offline experience, so that it can be tuned and balanced accordingly. Because I feel that when you're trying to have a systematic gameplay system, and then the guys in the career mode section are having to try and, they might spend 2 or 3 months trying to balance stats and everything to work with the gameplay, when that 3 months they could have been working on new features for the next season's title. So there's a lot of systems that are all intertwined, but in saying that, they're also coded completely different. So if you look at this year, we got Creator Club, and we've had a bit of, you could see all the initial backlash on, it's just copied from Pro Clubs. Well, it actually wasn't copied from Pro Clubs. The assets might have been copied, but they actually had to recode and rewrite a whole section to bring all that information over. But my understanding is that they're looking to start pulling those teams together and jointly working on projects, where at the moment, I think it's like there's a foot team, and then there's a Pro Clubs team, and then there's a career mode team, and then there's a gameplay team, and then there's a presentation team. That they all work independently and then try and get all of those systems to talk together. So it's actually quite a big organization of different features, and trying to get all those to talk together. It's quite unique.
Almost too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen.
In a roundabout way, yeah.
So, like, that's why you can obviously, that we've had next gen content, and if you go back to FIFA 01 and things like that, when we purely only had a career mode, well, obviously that's all concentrated into that mode, and that's where the forefront is. But as you start splitting things up and new things start happening, Volta was a completely new team that was put on just to look after that project. I think some of those guys came across from the Journey project. So they might have been working in the Journey for 3 years, and then, because you can see some of those storyline elements and all that kind of stuff that's incorporated in that Volta. So they're probably in their own little niche market.
A lot of the Frostbite stuff, the stuff that was built in the Frostbite engine, like those cutscenes and things like that, you can see how that's moved across into Volta.
Yeah, definitely. So there's shared assets, but generally, at this stage, my understanding is that they need to be re-scripted and rewritten for each particular product, whether it's Pro Clubs or Career Mode, or same as the Pro Clubs talent trees that have been there for 4 or 5 years that have only just come into the My Player. I think this is the first time that they've tried to combine the codes together. On that front. So there is innovation and stuff there. It's just because you see a yearly title, it is quite hard to really push the boundaries.
There's not a lot of time. I mean, as somebody who's a seasoned creator and a seasoned player of the game, especially more so since I moved into the YouTube and Twitch side of doing it a couple of years back, my opinion of what I expect year on year from a FIFA title has changed dramatically, especially as well getting into the back end of things through RDBM and the Frosty editor and things like that in previous years and stuff. And having a tinkering around and seeing just how fragile the code is. I said it from FIFA 20 going into 21, and again from 21 going into 22. I wouldn't care if they didn't add anything into career mode and just spent that time redoing all the code. To fix everything, get a good, balanced, proper gameplay, even if they've got to strip it back to bare basics, and then slowly over the next couple of titles start to work those things back in again. Just for a complete experience.
Just leaving it somewhat as it is right now, and then we see nothing till FIFA 24, for example, but FIFA 24 is just it's stuff that we've wanted to see, or it's stuff that's really been worked and tested and tried, and the bugs are less and shit like that to start off
because with. Once they get those fundamentals down and they've got that code base locked into what they're doing, and they know they're not adding something and going, oh shit, is this going to go and break something else somewhere else? Stripping it down, recoding the lot, getting that done, get the base of it done, then release it and go, hey, this is it. This is what we're working on, sort of thing. As a content creator, that's what I prefer them do.
Yeah.
You look at the other 98% of the community, all they want is something new and something different. And when it doesn't come,
they crack the shits.
They scream and shout.
Yeah. Before we get any further, just go through here. Obviously, we've got Sarah's joined us. Welcome.
Hi, sis.
Elliot's here. We've got... Who else have we got in here?
Happy Mad Sad.
Happy Mad Sad, yeah. Ben's here as well. Peter Donkey Doo. You sound a little crook there, DK, from Peter Donkey Doo.
She's right, mate.
Probably tired from work.
So, what do we got? Sup, lads? Seeing as we missed the other striker, I see Andy Carroll is a free agent. Let's get a collection together and get him a house in Mayfield and a second-hand gets. Absolutely. Let's get on that. He's got to be worth paying.
I'm going to get him on Isuzu now.
Yeah, you get a free Isuzu if you're coming out here. Sure. Career mode for life. FIFA career mode irritates me that they've removed changing player positions. It makes being a completionist really tricky.
Completionist? Not something I've seen in career mode for a very long time.
I better say, it's a bloody big word for career mode personnel. Quite enjoying.
I can't remember the last time I sat and did a FIFA career mode and actually got through all 15 seasons. I don't remember.
Yeah. That was you've taken one of my questions. It was that, and that was going to be to everybody. Is I can remember back in the day. Yeah, that was it. You'd sit with the one sort of side and just plug away 15 seasons thereabouts.
Yeah, before the job offers was a thing.
Yeah, that's it. And you just sort of just plug away, and it's something that never happens.
I'm 2-3 seasons in, you get bored and you start a new career mode with another team.
Yeah, exactly right. Currently downloading 22 at the moment. Well done, Elliot. What else we got? I wouldn't mind finer detail. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind finer detail things like when a player gets subbed off, they give the manager a fist bump or a high five. I suppose that's something that could be done.
I rate that.
That's something that could be done.
I think it's something.
Yeah, that's easy. That'd be presentation team would look at that.
Yeah, I mean, that could sort of be done in the same vein as in the same area as when the fourth official holds up the board and you get the sub stuff on the bottom. That the manager could then walk off and change to a different camera angle and a fist bump by one of the players. That sort of stuff is easy done.
But it's stuff that I feel probably should be in the game. You want it to be somewhat as realistic as, like you're watching a game in the A-League or whatever, just as simple as a bloke coming off the sideline, giving his coach a high five or whatever it is. And you know how he just sort of goes, you watch him get his bib on and he goes to sit down, he might give his teammates a bit of a high five or something like that. Just those little things, players do look for. They're a pain in the arse.
On the other side of the coin, let's say you've got somebody that's signed on a crucial contract who's got something like unhappy or very unhappy morale. Instead of a fist bump, I don't know, grabs a drink bottle, throws it on the ground, or,
Yeah.
something to that extent. The manager goes to shake his hand and he pulls his hand away, or, it could be done based on the current morale system that we have.
That's it. Get Kevin Muscat into a booth and just get him to replay. Reenact kicking the chair out of underneath friggin' what's his name? Bloody Cosmina.
From underneath
Cosmina and whack it in the game. Love it.
I mean, on the other side of the coin there, though, if we look at FIFA 21, FIFA 22, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the presentation side of things seems to have been shortened a little here and there, like goal celebrations. And that's really driven from the foot side of things, because as soon as people score, they want to be back in the middle and not waiting for their opposition.
They don't want to lose that momentum.
Yeah, so that's where the career mode side of things seems to have suffered a little bit. So definitely brought that point across. So yeah, any of that presentation side of things I think should be extended in a career mode sense, because it would bring more immersion to the experience of you on game day. Yeah. Which from all accounts, from the higher ups, it's all about creating the most authentic experience they can. They push authenticity like there is no tomorrow. Which is why they were so apprehensive about bringing the Creator Club in. But when you go and look at your audience and what they're crying out for, it is customization and creating that
welcome, Luke.
Sense of you've been able to do whatever you want to do. It's your game.
Yeah.
So that's the balance that sort of needs to be upheld within the roots and the DNA of the game, is the authenticity side of things. But hopefully giving the player enough creation that they feel like it's their own entity, like they've claimed it.
I mean, I suppose that sort of rolls into the fact that over the past few years, it's no hidden fact that a lot of teams have signed exclusivity deals, like image rights exclusivity deals with PES. I can understand why they're harping on the fact about that authenticity. They must pay an absolute fortune in image rights to FIFA for everything that they see that as an investment that they want a return on. That's completely understandable.
Well, we've seen that article come out, I think it was during the week last week, where they might be looking at changing the name of FIFA. That's purely on their licensing. So that's just a naming rights. That's nothing to do with having the Barclays Premier League or anything like that. They don't get those licenses off FIFA. They deal with the leagues and the
leagues
players
directly,
and the players organization or whatever it's called. All that's a different license, so they wouldn't lose any of that stuff by not being called FIFA. There's so many different pieces in the puzzle, which as that transparency comes down, we learn a little bit more about.
It was funny.
For those average players that stand around and turn around and go, "We want this league," and EA turn around and go, "Yeah, easier said than done."
A lot easier said.
As you mentioned, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
I think that authenticity thing is also with us losing those international teams this year.
That's a big hit.
It is, but they're all the ones that were just generic kits and that kind of thing. So whether they just pulled them out because it wasn't that authentic experience that they were looking for, and it's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah, very true. If you guys are enjoying the content, be sure to go and subscribe to our channel, Crossbar Capers, on the YouTube, on the Twitch. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor. What are we at? Apple? Did I get that right, Ben? Yes, Apple. Beautiful.
Google hate us.
Google hate us. Apple are good. And obviously the Facebook page, done it again. Be sure to go check out Spar and DK. Be sure to go check out Ben at Corner Flag Games as well. We've still got a bit to talk about. We're going to talk before we end the show. We are going to go through the years, so we are going to go back through the vault, way back to the beginning, before it was FIFA, 1993 to be exact. FIFA International Soccer, it was called, the first platformed game for the FIFA franchise.
I've got an older one, but it's not FIFA labelled.
No, the first FIFA labelled game was FIFA International Soccer.
All right, I'll put a question out there. What was the first football game that you actually played?
Oh, wow. That was on the Sega Saturn. What the hell was that? That was
Not the one I have, is it?
oh shit. What the name was it called? It was something basic. It was something, but it was on the Sega Saturn. I know that much. It'll come back to me. But
The one that I've got,
what's
the
that?
Virgin Interactive one.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, I can't remember. All I remember, Sega Saturn for me was the first console, and that was my first console.
I
And
was a late bloomer.
it was on that, and I can't remember the name of what the hell it was. But we'll whack that out to the chat. It'll come back to me. What about you, DK? What would you play?
First football game for me was called International Superstar Soccer. It was on the Super NES.
Super NES.
Oh, that's going back.
94, 95, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty early on. It was very primitive. I actually got one of those mini Super NESs that came out a few years ago, and I loaded it up, and I was just like, "How did I even play this as a kid?"
I did that before Adrian got FIFA 21, because he's got 21. Before that, he only had like FIFA 17 or something, and I played a couple of games of that with him, and I'm just like, how the fuck did we do it? How did we do it?
Worldwide Soccer. That's what it was.
Well, okay, that's not the one I've got.
Worldwide Soccer. That was what it was. Freaking back in
My earliest, I'm between the both. I'm a late bloomer. I'm later than both of yous.
Oh well, what?
It was FIFA 64 on the Nintendo 64.
Ah, that was a good
Followed
one.
very closely by the best soccer game, Road to the World Cup 98 on 64.
That was the first.
First
FIFA
time we
one.
got an indoor stadium.
Yeah, that would have been my first FIFA 98.
There
Yeah,
you go.
was it Beckham? Beckham on the cover?
Oh, no, it had like this fancy print on the cartridge.
Yeah.
The FIFA 64
I think he
was like
was,
a
though.
white background with like a digital like person on it.
Well,
It wasn't very good.
Well, we can go. The 98 edition of the game was the start of the growing trend of quality in the series, featuring improved graphics and more team and play customizations options, as well as more stadiums. FIFA registered national teams. It was also the first to feature popular musicians for the soundtrack. Can you guys name the band that was on that soundtrack? The main song.
98.
Yep.
Song 2, Blur.
There it
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yep.
yeah, Songs We Blur.
There
Woo!
it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's ingrained in here.
Yeah.
It's the guitar at the start when you turn it on.
It's one of the big ones that you remember from a FIFA title.
It was also the first year
I mean-
offside rule was introduced into a game.
Which
Oh,
no one
that's
uses.
a pet peeve I've got with modern FIFA games. How can you have, and I'll get it out now, how can you have, at the start of when you boot up FIFA every year, that handballs are automatically turned off? It shits me.
Yeah.
It shits me. It's a law of the game.
But you know
you're going
why?
to put offside in there, you're going to put fouls in there,
Yeah.
put handballs on as default.
Yeah, but do you know why it shits me? It's just because I don't check that shit anymore. Like, I don't
I
go...
do. It's the first, well, I'm seasoned now. It's the first thing I turn on.
Yeah, but I don't go into settings and shit anymore. I was sitting there the other day on YouTube watching, and I don't know, it just come up, as like something I'd be interested in. It was some bloke talking about FIFA and about, how when you play foot, old mate scores or whatever it is, and they control how freaking long when
Celebration
the
goes for.
celebration goes for. And then he's
Yeah.
like, the easiest way to resolve that is you go into settings and you can change it and turn it to freaking your blokes. So
Yeah.
it changes it to your blokes instead of watching his teammates, running around carrying on like fuckwits, where it kills your morale and just makes you want to throw something. And I'm like, shit, didn't know that. Didn't even know that was a thing. And I went bang straight on and changed it because there's nothing
Yeah,
worse.
I mean, some of the first things I do is go in and change all my camera angles
Yeah, I'll change
because I like them a specific way because I like to see as much of the pitch as possible
the new one's good.
from a higher angle.
Yeah.
So I've got like it's sort of more of a bird's eye view than a broadcast view.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Just
new
so I
one-
can see further down the pitch if I'm going to place like an over the top through ball or whatever. I've got more space to see. There's that.
The new one's good. The tail
Handballs get turned on straight away.
Yep.
100%.
My
The
biggest
trainer
thing
turns off, and I turn on player name and indicator,
Yep.
so I can see what player has the ball.
Yeah.
It's that's more from a a YouTuber and a streamer side of things, so I can commentate better.
Yeah. Now the new
I don't touch the handballs.
You don't touch them?
No, because the programming of it is that buggy that it
it's still screwed.
Makes me rage way harder. So this year I've just gone stuff it.
Yeah, the new camera.
This year I found that it's actually not bad. It's actually not bad. Like, if there's a couple of moments where he's got his hands by his side and you sit there and go, come on. He's got his hands close. We know as the real rules that wouldn't have been counted.
Mate, VAR can't sort their shit out. The fucking game's not going to be able to do it.
Don't even. But that sort of thing. But there are some times where a defender will go to clear, and as he clears and he goes to swing his leg, he brings his arm up, and it may take a bounce in front of him, or he may kick it and then come off his elbow. That's when you just sit there and go, well...
That would be purely a programming thing to say if the ball
win some, you lose
any
some.
contact within that part of the frame of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good. It's like from mid arm down, so that the space at where it touches is not bad. Yep. But it's more that it's a complete accident. But in the laws of the game, it would be given. That's when you just sort of sit there and go, well, it is what it is. You just got unlucky. Maybe you're going to train him on positioning, or you're going to work on his strength, or. Yep.
I'd say that the coding for it is basically an on or an off. Does it hit the hand or not hit the hand? It's not. It's not got the artificial intelligence behind it to say, he was in this particular, or his arm was tucked in, or like that. Yeah. That would just be.
They're not at that. They're not at that point.
No, why?
Benny
5
Burgess.
to 10 years down the track, fine.
Benny Burgess, FIFA 04, Rhythm Bandits was my jam. Absolutely. What a classic.
See, I couldn't tell, since I started streaming and content creating for FIFA, I couldn't tell you any of the good songs off the soundtrack because we're going to turn them off.
Yeah.
The best one that I had was, I can't remember what year it was. It was one of the...
There were some classics.
It's the Cold Cut Force remix of In Excess Is What You Need.
That was 2010.
It's a while ago.
2010 or 11, I think that one was.
The Streets is another one that comes to mind.
The Streets,
Fifa, you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that, Elvis? Was it the Elvis remake? Was that another one that was on there?
JXL, yeah. Little Less Conversation.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was early on, because then they did it for...
that was the best commercial.
The Nike Cage ads.
That was the best commercial. Luis Figo, Ronaldinho... Bloody Kakar was classic.
That's gone back.
Prodigy was on last year's title.
Yeah, Prodigy. Yes. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, Prodigy. That was good. But yeah, so we'll finish the show. Going down the list. We obviously have a few major turning points in FIFA. Anything else? Ben? Anything else, chat? Before we go down that sort of track and stuff like that.
What do we got? Elliot's gone. Volta feels like a waste of resources. I don't know anyone who plays Volta, and admittedly, I played through the story mode out of curiosity. I do every year.
That was one that I was going to speak to DK about. Is the Volta, because I'm with Elliot. I don't think I know anybody who plays Volta.
Yeah,
I haven't touched it.
It's funny. It's funny because a lot of us will say, we play career mode or we play foot, and we don't really go down that path. But when EA gets their analytics in, because they can see what modes everyone's playing, it's actually quite a popular game mode. Yeah. So for myself, I probably dabbled a little bit last year. I guess for me, it's the same as kickoff. It seems to be a mode generally that I will pull up if the boys come around for a drinks night.
Yep.
And you play a few kickoff games, and then if you just want to be really stupid, you jump on Volta because it's generally got a pretty cranking soundtrack.
Yeah, right.
So you can crank that up, you can do tricks and play goals and just smash each other. The games are over pretty quickly. So that's where I see that in my sense. Yep. But yeah, analytically wise, there's so many different markets for FIFA. Yep. You could even go down the road of saying, okay, I only know a handful of people that play pro clubs. And why is that?
I know a lot more now than what I used to.
Yeah, but if you look at like Brazil, for instance, they have a full pro league scene for pro clubs where they
Pro
play
clubs.
11 versus 11.
Yeah.
There's teams set up that have their own official kits, websites. It gets commentated. There's leagues. They get relegated. Like it's a full on supported, like 100,000 fans supporting a pro club's team. Like it's unheard of in where we come from, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even.
I suppose that's an area of the world as well where something like Volta would be
Yep,
highly
definitely.
sought after for the fact of Jogger Bonita.
So yeah, there's definitely scenes out there that your average Joe wouldn't even touch unless you knew there was a market out there and you actually went looking for it. So yeah, I guess some of the data that we would think wouldn't be, we would go foot 1, career mode 2. Wouldn't really look at much past that, but when they get all the analytical data in and who's playing what, Volta's actually got quite a big following.
I mean, it's one of those things. I'll look at it every year for the sake to say that I've experienced the next part of it. I'll chuck it down. I'll give a brief overview. I'll make a couple of notes on it or whatever, and then I'll come back to it the next year and go right. All right, well, that's a note that I had from last year. They seem to have fixed that. Or that's a note that I had from last year. That's a bit better than what it was last year. Sort of thing. Like, I mean, EA probably sort of use it as well as a proof of concept sort of thing for testing things that they might be able to implement in other areas too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions here that, just from a few FIFA tragics like myself, who we knew you were coming on, and we figured we'd pump a few questions into you. And that,
At least one of us knew.
yeah, and only about lunchtime, about 11 a.m. for him, that he knew what he was doing. But yeah, it gave me a couple.
You've
hours.
spoken to me 4 times on the phone since then this morning, and you haven't told me. You never told me shit.
Oh, because I knew you'd enjoy this episode. I knew you'd just, get excited, and I wasn't going to tell you at all and just make it, tell you really anything at all. I was just going to make you.
Wait till we start talking about the CD underside.
Anyway, we've got a couple of questions here from Trags. Answer them as best you can, mate.
Yep.
There's some interesting ones where I'd sort of go, oh, that would be.
He's aware, Luke.
That would be really good, but I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen or be possible. You know what I mean? It's just one of those. I would love to see it happen, but it probably won't. One of your mates has put in here when they play foot. They would love something along the lines of being able to communicate with the other online player. Where you
That's like you have on COD when you get
like
killed.
voice chat.
Yeah, like a voice chat, just basic voice chat, just a normal standard. How the fuck are you? Yell abuse at him instead of just yourself.
Bad idea.
Yeah, I think that would get a red flag. I think on that high end, purely from protecting the fact that there are kids playing.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to protect 12-year-olds that are jumping on and playing foot and getting abused by a 38-year-old man that doesn't have anything better to do with their lives.
Yeah. Fair enough. Something. What's one thing that you would like to see be brought back that they may have taken out over the last couple of years? We'll say.
Brought back into the game. I mean, I'm all for the creativity side of things. We had the Creation Center back in FIFA 12, FIFA 13, where you could build a club on the PC and import all that kind of stuff. My understanding is that it had a conflict with the Frostbite engine once they'd moved to Frostbite, and that's why it was pulled. And then obviously since then we've moved on to a lot more licensing and restrictions and things like that, which could come into play. But now that we do have Creator Club, perhaps there is an avenue there that we can have an online forum of some catalog that could be used to enhance the Creator Club mode. That would have to be, micromanaged a fair bit by their human resources team and things like that, because there would be conflicts of interest depending on what they have licensed and not licensed. So there's a lot of legal red tape there once you start smashing
Feeling
money out for
everything back.
licensing and stuff. Yeah, you don't want someone with a creator club team playing in the Premier League with a Hooters logo and some naked chick on the front of their strip. As much as we'd like it in our own offline mode, it's just as soon as that gets on the internet, it makes the game look bad, and then they could get backlash even from a Premier League sponsor and things like that. So, yeah, there's a bit of red tape there that they'd have to work through.
Yeah, fair enough. What else we got? We're talking about Volta. One of the boys is gone. Not a big fan of Volta. Has there been any talk of maybe bringing in something along the lines of like a beach, like changing it to like beach soccer, which is very popular in the European countries, or even like a futsal? More like making. I know what he's trying to say there. Like Volta is futsal, somewhat.
Yeah, I guess everyone was hoping for a FIFA Street.
Yeah.
When Volta sort of came out, they've obviously gone down the lines of that whole trick football, and rebranded it in a way which they've definitely pushed, and I think it's got its own niche market. And whether they do expand that, if you look at what Madden 22 this year, they added that kind of same sort of scenario where there's like 6-a-side games and stuff like that out in the park and all that. So if I guess when it really comes down to the nitty gritty, I don't think you can look at these kind of titles anymore as just a game. You need to level up and see it as it's a corporation with a marketing strategy.
Yep.
So if they can't market it and sell copies, regardless of the amount of money that they're making from foot and cards and all that kind of stuff, the initial purchase that you play for the game, that's what the marketing team needs to push first and foremost. Yeah, I think they said they had record sales this year already, and they didn't even really add too much to the offline kind of thing. So, I mean,
that's always the way. The pitch notes are foot, career mode.
Yeah,
but again,
and the career mode team is very small compared to the foot team.
Yeah.
So, that's where it comes down to resources and marketability. Obviously, your career mode, anytime career mode's making money, is for the percentage of people that have bought the title just for career mode, and to narrow that down in your analytics, well, if you sell 10 million copies, maybe 500,000 of those are just there to play career mode solely.
Yep.
Unless you're like me, who's that idiot that buys it for 3 different platforms every year.
Yeah. I think there's definitely opportunities to expand any of the game modes. It's just whether it has a marketability factor as well, and they can sell it to the higher ups as it. This is going to sell titles.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones. Like, and again, it wouldn't be too hard. They could just change a backdrop even for Volta to change that into a beach soccer style.
Oh, they could just have
just add a stadium.
That's what I mean. At a stadium. For me, as I said, I'm with him there. I love my European beach soccer and stuff like that. I think it's great and shows some of the best skillful players in the world. So for me, I'd love to see it added.
They
personally,
could. I guess there's an authenticity there as well, though, because for me, if you wanted to go crazy on Volta, let's put it on an ice hockey rink and see how the ball mechanics work on ice.
Absolutely.
Like stuff like that could be nuts. Let's go and play on the moon with no
gravity. Love it.
Go NBA Jam and make them more big head mode. Like that's where I see Volta. Volta could really. Volta could go full arcade, but it's just there's still that level of authenticity there that they just the higher up grasp onto. So
welcome Timmy, Matty. Need to bring in a franchise mode like they did for Madden. Yeah, fair enough. It's one of those
franchise mode's a little bit tricky with football because those clubs are so entrenched in the DNA of where they are. It's very rare for a club to relocate or anything like that. So you'd have to really break down the franchise to almost a football manager level.
Yeah.
But if they're going to invest the amount of time to bring the FIFA title into that amount of micromanagement, I'm not sure they would go down that road because I reckon a lot of their analytical data is that most people play career mode for one season and then they move on.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense, I've got. Well, there's one left here that I've got from the guys, and it's an interesting one. I like it. It is obviously straightforward. VAR.
Yes.
And
No.
hey, it's not just for you, mate. Just calm down. And the five sub scenario. One of the boys is like, again, James. He's like me, very old school. Likes to play, likes playing the way that the game is in real life. You want the same sort of features. If there's 5 freaking subs now, like there is in the world of football because of COVID and stuff like that, we want it in the game. VAR is definitely a hard one. For me personally, I just find that there's not enough competitions in the world that run VAR. There's still plenty of competitions around the world that don't have it at all. Period. So that'd be hard to sort of bring it into a game.
I mean, I suppose they could adapt the current way that offside is shown, because they do show you a highlight of your lines and stuff. There's no reason why they just couldn't add another.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see it would be that hard to add another graphic.
Just an upgrade.
It'd be a presentation side of
thing,
things.
yeah.
And then I guess in the coding you could have whether it's enabled or not enabled, just like handball.
Yeah.
But from the devil's advocate, I think if that was in foot, you would get a lot of people blowing up.
Yeah.
So
you'd need that.
Then I don't think that they would invest the time to put that just into career mode.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Like the time and resources to develop something needs to have a benefit over multiple things. I can see the sub rule. I could see that not being too hard, because in the preseason you can have more than 3 from memory if you actually play the games.
Yeah, in the friendlies and stuff like that.
In your preseason invitational tournaments and stuff like that, you can make as many as you want.
Yeah.
So obviously there's some coding in there. It's just whether they can implore that. I guess they could put it in the league codes.
Yeah, they'd have to
start a column in there to say how many subs are enabled for the game, sort of thing. So I'll make note. I'll put that one to the team. No trouble.
I mean, I suppose it can be done, because there are some of the cup competitions in England as well where you drop from like 8 to 5 on the bench.
Yep.
Like the bench size changes. So there is pre-existing code in there that can do that.
Yeah. It's just something that's not going to go away for me. Like they're not going to.
Yeah.
It's not going to go back to 3 in a hurry. In world football.
No.
It is what it is, and it looks like it's going to be around.
The one that I've got's a little bit more in depth, but that's very region specific in the way that it needs to be implemented. And that's, let's take the A-League for example. Having a feature where you can turn either on or off the real world transfer rules for that. So in Australia, you're allowed to have a certain amount of international. In the A-League, you're allowed to have a certain amount of international players.
If you can cap leagues,
and the rest have to, and then the rest have to be Australian players. Not so much bringing in the salary cap and all sorts of things like that, but just the amount of international players that your squad is allowed to have.
Yeah, same as Asia, same as India.
Yeah, and because it works across Asia, and then it works across it works across all your Asian sides that qualify for the Asian Champions League, because we have more in the A-League international players than what we are allowed to take if they qualify for the Asian Champions League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think we get is it 5 here?
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah.
So we get 5, but we're only allowed to take 4 into the Asian Champions League.
Correct.
One of them has to stay home.
Which is bizarre, considering that even though you're only allowed 5 international players, right? If you don't want to take one of those, 5 internationals in the league, but you're only allowed to take 4, you can still sign another international for that freaking spot, for that international travel. It's freaking ridiculous. Yeah. He can't play league games, but he can play all the freaking Champions League games.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so much into that much detail.
No. I'm just saying from a stupidity just in Asian football.
But for leagues like I suppose it's something that just mainly focuses on the leagues that can qualify for the Asian Champions League.
Yes, Tim. Timmy just found out you can freaking turn off celebrations.
Celebrations.
Yeah.
So I did get some interesting stuff from doing the Indian Super League rebuilds lately. Like the comment sections have been blowing up, and
I know.
An insight into how that league works. So from my understanding with those teams is that they're allowed 6 international players, but only 4 are allowed to be on the pitch at one time.
Yes.
So they can have the other 2 international players still sitting on the bench and be substituted in for
another international.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that because I feel it sort of benefits your homegrown talent getting minutes and growing, at a country level as well.
I think there's even, don't quote me, there used to be, but I don't think there is, it might be still in play. I think
we don't have that rule anymore.
No, I'm talking about India, and I think they do it in Malaysia as well. It's an age scenario. There's something to do with an age bracket. Like, they've got to be a certain over or under or certain age group or something like that.
We've got that here. You've got to have a minimum of, I think it's 3 or 4 under 23s.
Yeah.
Again, wouldn't be going so much into that level just yet. I mean, but as a proof of concept, just for international players, I think that's a good place to start.
The same as the Chinese Super League, they have to have a Chinese goalkeeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct. And there's
there's a lot of nuances that vary league to league in the Asian leagues for it.
I guess. Okay, let's strip it back a little bit. So, if FIFA's promoting authenticity, we want to see this kind of thing. But on the other hand, people want to be able to do whatever they want to do. So, do you implement that rule as a turn on or off at the start of the career mode, like you do with financial strictness, or even before that, do you have a screen pop up once you've checked a league and say, oh, these are the current rules for this league at this time. If you wish to follow them, there's your list that you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
it's giving you that information there on day dot to say, oh, okay, you're playing in the Indian Super League. You can have 6 international players in your squad at all times. You can only use 4 on the pitch. That's not going to say that you can't go in and sign a full team of Brazilians and play it because that's the way you want to play your career mode. But here is something that,
if you want to play it traditionally,
can make it a bit more of an authentic experience if you wish to play the game that way.
And I think it'd be great. Yeah. I think that's fantastic. I think it gives people around the world who have no idea how their league works, like the A-League, like America, like, some of the lower sort of leagues and shit, it gives them an idea of, shit, that's interesting. Let's try that. That's
a lot of people would tend to look at that and go, "Wow, that's really interesting." And I mean, as a content creator, you sort of look at that and go, "Wow, that's really interesting. That's a bit niche."
But even
let's give it a run.
But even if it's something that they've been doing,
challenge and keeps it fresh.
Even if it's something that they've been doing, in their own sort of time, where they're like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just going to run this year." I'm in England even, I'm in England, but I'm going to make it, like you guys do, a youth setup, or I'm going to do this, or I'm only going to sign 3 blokes over the age. Even though they may do it, or they've been doing it for the last freaking 10 years, it still gives them a bit of knowledge as well, a bit of an insight into that league. And, they do that every week. Shit.
I mean, one person that I know that does that to the strictness is Tomo. He will have a certain amount of players under the age of 25. He will only have a certain amount of players that he's allowed over the age of 28. Like, some of his rule sets are crazy to the point where I can't even keep up with them.
Yeah. So, So as I said, there's plenty of good ideas. There's plenty of things that need to be changed and stuff like that. But again,
it's food for thought.
But that's something there. Those couple of those points that we just made there are little things where we were saying before, where you just sort of change nothing. Say in FIFA 23,
it's a quality of life experience.
Yeah. And then FIFA 24 comes out, and you've got all the new features, whether it be better skills or better play on the ball or whatever, but then you've got 100 new little things like these league scenarios, rules of the league, shit, and and you just add them all in, and people just go, fuck, let's do that. That's
watch out, they might be listening.
Watch out, absolutely, guys, get your thoughts in. Holy shit, Timmy's gone nuts.
Timmy Woods, you bloody champion.
Pez is dead. Those teams will come back. FIFA 03.
Yeah, it was at Atalanta, Juventus, Roma.
Yeah.
Calcio.
FIFA 03, that's random, but yeah.
As I like to call them, not Juventus.
We played Madden here. FIFA wasn't big until Foot happened here. So I think he's referring to the States. Timmy's in the States. So obviously, Madden was the big one for them. Massive.
But Madden's I know it is a global title, but it would still be very niche based to the American market. And if you wanted to take that down another sense, look at NHL. That's out every single year, and that market would probably be 98% Canada, USA, and a few from around the world. I love a good game of NHL, but it's so niche and so they don't have to worry about all these other leagues. So, so they can solely focus on what they're trying to achieve, which helps.
Screw NHL. I've got Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the 64 over there.
Oh, Wayne, the great one.
Yeah. Where if you hit a player too many times, you can actually stop the game, throw the gloves off, and have a punch-up in the middle of the ice rink.
Well, you should be able to here.
Inglorious 64-bit.
If you could do it back then, it must be in bloody high def these days, because that's been going around since the 60s.
NHL 96? I think that was my first EA Sports game.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't remember my first EA Sports game.
I used to buy the lot every year when I was younger, and that it used to be just Madden, NHL, FIFA.
Someone had some rich folks.
Yeah, see, for me, it was always FIFA. FIFA, and back in those days, FIFA Street.
PS1 and simple.
Don't ask me to do a skill move now. I couldn't tell you.
Crack versions.
EA Cricket 2000.
Yeah. Oh, Cricket 22's coming out.
I got big on the cricket.
Yeah, Brett
Lee.
Shane Warne 98 leg spin. Shane Warne.
Oh yeah, on the PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation. The 99 it was 91 Shane Warne spin. FIFA. Cricket 22's coming out. They're bringing a new one out. That's all right.
Yeah, big ant.
Yeah,
right on that. Melbourne-based company.
Yep. Yeah. It'd be good. Like it's interesting. You look at some of the big name, your Maddens and stuff like that, and then you look at some of the NRL games, the AFL games that have just sort of come out, and it's just streaks behind, like the quality, and it's just sort of wow. You sort of play one and the other, and it's like holy shit. It's like playing 1999 freaking on PlayStation 1, and then you go to Madden and shit, and it's like the revamped PS5 happy days. It's but they were released at the same time. It's crazy.
I I just had a look over at my cabinet. Josh, you've seen I went nuts a few years ago. There was a game store that was shutting down at one of the major shopping centres here in Melbourne, and I went through and absolutely cleaned out every single FIFA title that I could possible. So I've got everything from FIFA 64 all the way to 22.
Jesus.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
it didn't matter what console it was on. Didn't matter whether it was Pro Evolution or if it was FIFA. Give me all of them. I was picking them up for $1 each.
Yeah, Tim. I never really
went nuts.
Never really got into NBA. Like I played it. I bought the game and that on a regular basis, but I'd play it 6 or 7 times, and then just crack the shits, and I'd never play it again. The NBA, it just sort of, I don't know, just not my cup of tea, unfortunately. But we're going to slowly wrap it up. As I said, we'll chat through the years with FIFA, go through some of the major milestones and what's been changed, and even flashbacks to 2017. Seems like an age ago. The journey began. So much has changed since that.
Yeah,
that would have been the first year of Frostbite. Is that the first year of Frostbite?
Nah. That was before that.
Yeah.
FIFA 15 had Frostbite.
FIFA 15, yeah. So
I'm talking the in-game cutscene rendering for Frostbite.
Yeah, maybe on an EA level.
Yeah.
For FIFA, yeah.
So we'll jump into that again. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go check out Sparring DK over on the YouTubes. If you're new and you're chatting here for the first time, go see us on the Facebook page, YouTube, Twitch. We're everywhere. Spotify. This will be out tomorrow on Spotify. I'm sure Ben or Luke's in there somewhere. They will whack the socials out. stick around as well. If you're on the Twitch side, we'll go and raid somebody. We'll we might leave it up to the special guest, and we'll piss off.
Go see a creep for his 12-hour 1,000 follower stream.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. What are some of the? We were talking a bit earlier, FIFA 98 and so forth, for some highlight years. What are some of the things, DK? What are some of the things you can remember? How far back can you remember things changing?
Oh, well, I mean, to be fair, 98 would have been me in late high school.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere from 2000 to probably FIFA 15 is probably a little bit sketchy.
Ooh, well, that's where we'll go. FIFA 98 was fantastic. You can't kick a cow's backside with a banjo, this fella. I used to love that freaking saying. The commentators were just so real. It was like watching them on a Saturday. They just talk so much smack, and it was great.
Definitely think FIFA 11 was one that I got quite invested in, career mode wise.
FIFA 11. What are we?
But the memories are a little bit sketchy on that one.
What are we doing? FIFA 11. New features came in. Improved passing systems. Improved player likeness. The option to play as a goalkeeper for the first time. And a new replacement to the manager mode called career mode. The ability play as a manager, play or player manager.
Player manager.
So,
Player manager. Oh man, that was me all day. I was actually gutted when they took that variation out of the game. That was the last time I played a My Player properly.
Thank you, Shadow.
Once you didn't have control of the team, it just felt a little bit heartless.
Yep.
Because you wanted that control. So, I would like to see that come back at some stage, but I guess the analytical data said people weren't playing that way that often. All you can do now is do your My Player and then retire and then become a manager.
Yeah, FIFA 08 was FIFA 08. They brought in Be a Pro.
FIFA 08 was the big one for me.
In which the player controls only a single player on the field. That feels like a lifetime ago.
It's also the first year they brought in the Hyundai A-League.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah, it was a couple of years after we kicked off. So, yeah, North Queensland Fury.
Oh, going back in the days, playing as Gold Coast United and North Queensland Fury.
Yeah, absolutely.
Melbourne Heart.
Perth Glory.
They're still there. They haven't changed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they haven't added Sturridge yet.
Yeah, Sturridge, yeah.
They haven't added Sturridge yet.
Well,
maybe it's about time you do a Perth Glory career mode then.
You go that not too far. Like FIFA 15. Something that, you sort of look back and go, really? Was it that late, It was the first edition released during EA's deal with the English Premier League as official sports technology partner. So they pretty much allowed all 20 Premier League stadiums to be included in the game, as well as official Premier League scoreboards and television graphics. So 2015, you would think that would have come earlier. You know what I mean? Just from a Premier League scenario, they're so massive. Well before that, but there it is. Only.
But if you think in those days, they probably only were just getting the technology where they could map a stadium properly. Everything else, from before then would have been built from the ground up. And I mean, even if you look at FIFA 22, we don't really have any new generic stadiums. Yep. Like they've been the same generic stadiums since whatever, because they've been built on a core platform. I think when we went to Frostbite, and even then, like if we bring up the topic of we want more stadium customization, can we add more stands? Can we add more light towers? And in theory, you're like, oh yeah, cool. They're just adding in a 3D block to put it in there. But what it actually affects is lighting systems and how all those lighting things are bouncing off the players and everything would have to be manipulated to every single object that gets put into that particular stadium. So, I mean, we've seen that stadium system come into foot where you can go 1, 2, 3, but it's not individual pieces purely, I think, because of how the lighting factors and everything work within the game systems.
Yep. Yeah. 2005 was another big one. The inclusion of first touch gameplay, which provides gamers with the ability to perform real life tricks and passes, and was the first version to feature the full Mexican League the way back in 2005.
So when they had that crazy goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
See, I've got one here, and this one sort of ties into something that I would like to see brought into career mode.
Yeah.
Probably be pretty difficult to do it though too. FIFA 16 was the first title in the series to include female athletes and national teams.
Yep.
Which leads into my next question. We can get job offers for all the male international sides. I'd like to be able to take charge of the Matildas.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair.
Oh, I even have the Women's Premier League in.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've got all the female, international teams already there in the kickoff mode. I mean, how you would go with stat tracking on them would be difficult because there's no league running in the background to be able to manipulate those stats.
And the other side of the coin there is that might work in the first season, but by the time you get 4 seasons in and all those female players should be retiring because they're 40 years old.
Yeah.
There's no regen system there.
There's no regen system.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that I'd like to see, maybe.
Playing with Sammy Kerr in the 2032 World Cup, she's almost in a wheelchair.
It'd be interesting to see how far along we are before we see, even some of the big women's leagues. Even England.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fantastic. You're not going to be able to have 500 leagues, but you could definitely have
or the women's Champions League.
Yeah, no, you won't be able to have any of that. And that for a
there's just too many variables.
But there's enough. You could definitely have the MLS, like the women's game over there. You could definitely have it in England. I'm sure there's another couple of big names. Obviously, France. Is big.
The big one that gets me, I mean, it's probably tricky to choreograph, but they've got the licensing for the Champions League, the Europa League, and whatever that new scumbucket league is.
The green one.
Yeah, but then because of the qualifications on that, and then there's teams that come through the playoffs and somehow qualify.
Yep.
Well, if they're like, look at Sheriff this year, they're doing
Sheriff Tiraspol.
Yep.
But they're not a team that you can play. They're not even in the other teams because I guess they wouldn't have even been on the radar as a team that might have made it. So they haven't gone out and worried about that licensing.
Yep.
But it would be nice to see. Okay, all of these teams are qualified for at least a playoff. Let's just put them in the other team section and add that in there.
I mean, if I was to pick a team, if I was to pick a league worldwide that I'd want to be brought in, because this conversation tends to open up a massive can of worms. I'd like to see the Croatian Premier League.
Yeah.
Croatian First Division.
Yep. Some big names.
Screw your Vanarama National Leagues. We've already got enough England leagues. You've already got.
Oh, I'd take a Fifth Division straight away.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think you would.
100%.
But it's something like off the cuff and sort of.
I want conference. East, West, South.
Well, yeah, everybody wanted the conference this year. I'll admit I wanted it as well. But, a sort of relatively obscure-ish sort of league that I'd want brought in would be Croatia. I mean, it's not to say that it can't be done. A couple of years back, they brought back the rights to Dynamo Zagreb. This year they've brought in Hajduk Split as well.
Yep.
And
I'd like to see them venture out and perhaps have not necessarily a league that they bring in for every year, but just like maybe a showcase league. So we've got the license for this league for this year, and like something like go to Djibouti, get the Djibouti National League in for 1 year, and then go, if there's a Cuban league or just something so minimal and off the cusp that is just showing and showcasing a different part of the world. That's it's the world game. So
Yeah.
obviously you want the popular leagues, but
Yep.
why not use the advantage and platform that you have
I agree.
to showcase something new and different?
I agree. I think every year, I reckon at
Well,
least
bring the Russian league back.
every year, I believe at least
Well,
two.
there's a funny story on that one.
Oh, here we go.
The Russian league. So Pez bought the Russian league purely as a fuck you to FIFA, because the previous year with the World Cup, FIFA went out and modelled every single stadium for all of the Russian teams.
For the Russian,
So that they could have that authentic experience for the World Cup. Pez swooped in, paid for the Russian league, and that's it. You weren't allowed to use any of those stadiums in the next title.
Cheeky fucks.
And now they've got eFootball. They blew all their cash.
Yeah, I think,
they're gone.
I think
They're
every
in
year.
trouble.
I think every year probably two competitions, probably out and in. You know what I mean? Like I'm screaming for the Mexican league to fuck off. Like it is I'm with Timmy. It is one of the most boring shit leagues. To try. And
Yeah, but isn't that all loaded into that? Is it CONCACAF?
CONCACAF.
CONCACAF? Yeah.
Yes, Mexican MLS, and they're all sort of playing that.
Yeah, they're playing that league.
I don't. Is that actually still in FIFA? Where they actually play off against each other? I don't think it is anymore.
Oh yeah, with Argentina.
Because I did a career mode. What was it last year or the year before
It was
with
last year.
LAFC, and I never played them.
It was last season when they brought in that friggin' the competition. Yeah, with friggin' the Argentinian sides and all that sort of shit.
Carnival or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Timmy's saying no.
No. Had a few more African teams. Yeah,
Well, if that's the case, if they don't have a major tournament that they all compete in, that's in game, why not split them down?
But then we don't know what the demographic and their analytics are of how many Mexican players are playing and how popular their teams are and that kind of stuff.
Oh, they've got some popular teams.
Yeah, the Copper, yeah. I just think they need to look at some other countries and shit like that. I think it's every year. It's just sort of, I suppose you just take it on, as you said, FIFA.
Ukraine's got to be done.
FIFA knows, obviously, how much it's been played, the leagues and the competition and that, and the two sort of lower sort of leagues, they go, right, we're going to scrap them. We'll bring in two more, see how they go. It's just sort of a,
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to scrap the already existing ones. I think that may piss off the player base a bit.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring him in, they're going to have to be...
Look at the backlash on just losing those international teams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, true.
There's only 32 international teams in the game now, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Female.
And people were happy to have the random odd generic country that they had because, it was the country.
Yep. Yeah. The females for me is the big one. I think that needs to improve. I think FIFA need to do a lot more in regards to that. As I said, whether it's a league, one or two leagues that you can do with it.
Even just taking the top side out of all of the leagues and putting them in other teams.
Just the rest of the world women's comp. That'd be great. Why not? What do you got? MPL, surely. Funny.
No.
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 And what do you got? MLS is fully licensed. So is Liga.
Liga MX.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I've never done it. I can't remember the last time I played as a Mexican team.
No, either can
Couldn't tell you. I don't think I ever have.
Santos Laguna in a Journeyman
Yeah,
series.
and the Journeyman.
Wow. Yeah, no, not a fan. Hate the league.
Maybe we can do another one of those this year.
Going through some more. FIFA 2001. No, I think that was the first FIFA I played on PC. 2001. The version was the first to include. Yeah, it was the first one to include a power bar, and my God, it friggin' made life so much easier.
And now you get time finishing, which you go in and turn off straight away.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yep. I told somebody to do it, and they're like, "Oh, I can't do it. And I'm like, "Yeah, because you're a new FIFA player. You're used to time shooting."
Yeah. It was also the first one that FIFA 2001 was the first one for online play. And it also included official club emblems for the very first time. There you go. Took them that long, 2001, to have the official club emblems. Interesting. So yeah.
The official club emblem.
Yep.
So like the Arsenal badge and stuff.
Yeah, it's all the badges when you go into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, it wasn't.
Oh.
It'd just tell you the name of the team. That's all it was.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Interesting.
we're going to slowly wrap it up. We've been jabbering on for a good hour and a half. It's been fantastic to talk a bit of FIFA. Get a bit of insight into how things sort of roll, and as DK was saying, it's everyone's excited now. They're playing and whatever, and the creative side of things, and the guys in the background are now fixing all the issues. And then, what was it, about 6 months or something you said, and then they'll go to work for the next one.
Oh, by January they'll already be work. Well, to be fair, they're probably already penciling down ideas of what they want to add. Because there could be things that they tried to put in for FIFA 22. Maybe they ran out of time. Those are already on the board to add in at FIFA 23.
Mm-hmm.
And then add on whatever ideas they have to add there. And then they'll go, okay, how much time and resources have we got? And what do we want to implement as the main features?
Yeah. Yep. There's plenty of time. It's always around the same period: September, October, November. That sort of period where it's gonna happen.
October nowadays.
It's been October for a while. So yeah,
Since COVID.
Yeah, since COVID hit. Yeah, it was good. They actually got one out. With everything that happened and what was going on. So,
Yeah, but standard FIFA people. Oh, it's late. Oh, and it's still shit. You do realising that they're not all sitting in the same office to make it anymore, yeah.
They're probably much working like you're having this podcast here and group chats for 10 minutes and then go off and work and then come back and have another chat and a meeting and a chat. And
you can't make it perfect. There's no fun in that. you can't sit back 2 days after release date.
The player base will always find something to complain about.
Correct.
Could you imagine them sitting there 2 days after release, like actual release, not friggin' early release and shit, actual release, and then the guys, all the creators and that sitting back waiting for emails and just nothing coming through? No social media aspect of this is shit. Why isn't that being changed? Everyone's just like, oh my God, this is the best FIFA ever. There's no dramas. Everything's perfect. No mistakes. Friggin' no names of fucks. No bloody, old mate's got no fucking hair and he's got a full head of hair in real life. What the fuck's going on? None of that shit.
I'm a bit annoyed that they changed Songkrasen.
Yeah, Songkrasen.
And this is a pet peeve. I've had him for Scunthorpe in 20? 21 we had him in Blackpool and I've got him in 22 for Swindon already, right? He's 27 this year, right? So last year he was 26. Last year he has black hair. This year in FIFA 22 they've changed his hair to grey. He's got grey hair.
Yeah, very good.
What's Timmy saying?
Didn't they say they will update career mode later in 22?
All right, so here I'll give you a little bit of an insight on how career mode updates work before we wrap things up.
Right.
Yes.
So the main issue with career mode is that it is an offline game mode. So we've all said, what about having mid-season updates and adding new features and all that kind of stuff, or how come we can't make these particular changes because it's a bug? The main thing isn't actually EA making those changes. It's the fact that if it is a patch that gets put out, it needs to go through a process that gets approved by Sony and Microsoft. Now, Sony and Microsoft will put in play anything that will break an existing save for a player, they will not approve. So even if they have a groundbreaking fix for something that was broken at launch, if it will affect your existing save and you will no longer be able to play that save because it's broken the game, that patch will not be approved. So therefore, those kind of changes just get put on the shelf, and it's we will fix it in the next title, and we just have to grim and bear it. Because even though you may start a new career mode tomorrow and it will be fine, if someone's 3 seasons into a career mode and now their game's broken, that's not good business. If we were just on Origin,
that must have been something that came in 3 or 4 years ago, because I remember they used to bring out updates and stuff and it said this will only work for new saves.
Yeah, they'll still have patch things that will only work for new saves. It's more that there can be changes in the game that change the actual code.
Yep.
that if you try to load up that previous save, it'll come in and say that the file is corrupted.
Yep.
And they're not allowed to do that. That's a breach of contract with any gaming company.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go, guys. A little bit of insight.
A little bit of insight.
So don't blame EA.
Yeah.
Blame Sony and Microsoft.
Play on PC and fix it yourself.
Absolutely.
All that.
Yeah, it's very simple. You're not going
And
to
you can do so much more with it. The amount of people I've converted across to PC now is a joke.
Anyway.
Josh doesn't even have his PlayStation anymore.
No, don't. Got rid of
You
it.
sold both of them.
Yeah, got rid of them. Didn't want them. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. We thank everyone for jumping in the chat and having your say, getting your questions in, having your rant in regards to you playing the game and so forth, of what you don't like and shit like that. It's been great. DK, it's been a pleasure, mate, having you on.
Anytime.
Talking a bit of football, a bit of FIFA and so forth. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys think of anything, any dramas in the game, let us know. Send us through. We'll pass them on. And if they haven't heard of them before, I'm sure DK will get onto it and send it to the right people and get it fixed.
I was about to say, how's the best way for people to...
Yeah.
I suppose it would be a good thing. How's the best way for people to get in touch to let EA know about bug fixes and stuff? Or things that they see?
Twitter.
Yeah,
just put it on Twitter and I'll make note.
Give it a tweet, and they'll sort it out. If you haven't done so, be sure to go check out DK's channel. As I said, you're looking at around 37,000 subscribers. He knows his shit. He's doing absolute great stuff. What was that? 37,000 subs in how long?
Oh, 5-6 years.
5-6 years. Yeah, it's good effort.
Plodding along.
Absolutely, just plodding along. Bit of fun in his spare time.
Pretty much.
9 to 5 job, and then comes home and deals with...
And does his YouTube 9 to 5 job.
Yeah. Surprised he gets any sleep in.
Yeah, I don't.
He doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, as I said, it's a pleasure. Be sure, go check him out. Be sure to go subscribe to our channel. Go over to Twitch side, Facebook, social media, Instagram, etc., Spotify. This will be out tomorrow on that. Mobile gaming. Hey, mate, how are you? Welcome. Unfortunately, you've missed us, so be sure to go check this one out when it's. It'll be out on Facebook to rewatch in an hour or so. And as I said again, go to Spotify and so forth to watch the whole show tomorrow on your way to work or something like that, if you want to do that. Other than that, we are going to go off and chuff off and raid someone. If you've got Twitch, jump over. We'll give you 30 seconds to switch on over if you haven't done so already. Where are we going, Ben?
Going to go see our good friend Crit.
He's
currently playing some Jackbox.
On the GPUs?
No, on his own.
On his own?
He's doing a 12-hour stream.
Yep.
To which he has 4.5 hours to go.
Oof.
He's doing a 12-hour stream for getting to 1,000 followers on Twitch.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah.
And he has the most majestic ginger beard you will ever see.
So, yeah, other than that, enjoy the week, guys. We will catch you guys next time with some more football content of some sort, whether it be an interview or whatever. Enjoy your FIFA. Enjoy your international break. Socceroos play tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time against Japan, which will be an absolute banger. So get on that. We're going for 12 in a row. So, yeah, that's right, Italy. Eat that shit.
We're coming for you.
Yeah, exactly right. So, other than that, guys, we'll speak to you real soon. Take it easy. Thanks for coming. And as always,
we hate Coast Scum.
We hate Coast Scum. Take it easy, everyone.
We hate Coast Scum.
We'll speak to you later. See ya.